moved quickly. Prosecutors would later tell the jury that the crime had been solved within 24 hours, and they weren't exaggerating. Donna's statement, the fact that Jeffrey had worked at the Chevron in the past, and his link to Scott gave detectives everything they needed. Jeffrey was arrested just days after the March 1997 murder, but it took much longer before his case ever reached the jury. 2 years later, in June of 1999, the trial finally began. By then, the state had built a mountain of evidence. There were the statements Jeffrey had made before the crime, telling people he wanted to rob the Chevron and leave no witnesses. There were the letters he wrote to his girlfriend, Amy Pierce. She admitted on the stand that she had blacked out lines because they made Jeffrey look guilty. And when a state document examiner used special lighting and chemical methods to uncover the original text, those hidden words pointed directly to Jeffrey's role in the murder. Jeffrey's carried it out and silenced Maggie to keep himself on June 1st, life in prison without parole or death. Jeffrey wasn't interested. In front of the court, he yanked his attorney back into his seat and told him not to say another word. He told him that he was innocent and said that he didn't want a life behind bars. If he couldn't walk out as a free man, he would have to die. And the jury took him at his word. By a vote of 10 to 2, they recommended him. A month later, the judge agreed. Jeffrey was sentenced to die. And even though Jeffrey had asked for it, he likely didn't expect it would take nearly 3 decades before the sentence would finally be carried out. In those years, he filed appeal after appeal, hoping for a way out. But every time, the conviction and the death sentence stood. The court cited 2 aggravating factors. He had committed the murder while already under a sentence of imprisonment and had killed Maggie while committing a robbery. His youth and limited criminal record were offered as mitigating factors, but in the end, they didn't matter. The brutality of the crime outweighed everything else. But Jeffrey wasn't the only one under scrutiny. Amy hadn't pulled the trigger, but she was still part of what happened that night and what followed. She wasn't just his girlfriend. She was there to let him down, and prosecutors said she played a role in what happened afterward. When investigators started pulling the case, she had received Ellis, but instead of giving that to law enforcement, she tried to protect him. She blacked out the most damaging lines before handing them over. And because she was behind the wheel of the getaway car, prosecutors charged her with the same crimes as Jeffrey. She didn't escape accountability. They argued that she had helped hide the truth, covered for him, and tried to steer the investigation off track. Amy eventually pleaded guilty and agreed to testify. She was sentenced to 35 years in prison. But there's no record of her being held in any Alabama prison at this moment, 28 years after her arrest, which means she was released early. However, after the was running out. A date had finally been set, September 25th, 2025. Maggie's son had been just 11 years old when his mother was murdered. He was old enough to understand what had happened, but far too young to process the weight of it. For nearly 3 decades, he lived in the shadow of that night. He had watched the headlines on his birthday, every appearance and focus on death. Through it all, the system kept making decisions in his name without ever asking what he wanted. Now, with Jeffrey's execution date set for September 25th, Maggie's son finally stepped forward and something unexpected. He didn't want Alabama to execute the man who killed his mother because it wouldn't bring her back. Instead, he wanted something else. A conversation. A face-to-face meeting with Jeffrey. To ask the questions that haunted him. and most of all, to say something no one expected. He forgave him. That decision came from faith. He believed in the words of Christ, that forgiveness opens the door to salvation. In his eyes, life in prison without parole, death, and he had a message for him. Love you, he wanted to tell Jeffrey. My mother would love you because we forgive you. Through his lawyers, Jeffrey agreed to the meeting. Even with time running out, he said yes. He didn't want to deny what happened. He admitted that he killed Maggie. At 50 years old, he said he still struggled to understand the choice he had made. From his cell, he admitted the weight of it never left him. There's not a day that goes by that I don't regret it. What he wanted most, he explained, was the chance to go to mystery. I'm so very sorry for the hurt I've caused you all. I'm sorry for what I took from you. I hope Maggie's son believed his mother would have wanted it. He believed she would have forgiven Jeffrey. I don't want this man to die. Vengeance isn't the Lord. He begged Governor Kay Ivey to grant a reprieve. He asked for just a little more time. Time to sit down with the man who murdered his mother. He even delivered a petition to Governor Kay Ivey's office asking her to halt the execution. But the governor's reply was firm. She said she respected his belief, yet the law was clear. Alabama reserved death for what it called the most egregious forms of murder, and she had to respect that law. The clock kept ticking, and Jeffrey and Maggie's son exchanged letters. Both men asked for a meeting before the execution. The state refused, citing security concerns. This means on the evening of September 25th, 2025, it was time. Jeffrey spent his final hours with 8 visitors, and for his final meal, he would be carried out using nitrogen gas, a method Alabama had only recently begun using. The process involved strapping a tight gas mask to your face and pumping in pure nitrogen. At 5:50, his face was calm, and he turned slightly to give his attorney a final thumbs up from behind the mask. When the warden asked if he had any final words, Jeffrey simply replied, "No, sir." But through his attorney, he left a message. He said he was deeply moved by the forgiveness offered by Maggie's son. He also shared he had converted to Catholicism earlier that year and had been baptized. I am excited because I know where I'm going, and I look forward to seeing Mrs. Barry when I get there. Then, and seemed to struggle. His eyes and his left hand curled into a fist. He appeared to foam slightly at the mouth. Around 6:01, his breathing began to slow, shallow, broken by long gaps. And by 6:07, he stopped moving. He was pronounced dead at 6:22 p.m. Jeffrey Todd West was 50 years old. At that very same moment, in a different part of the country, another execution took place. If you haven't seen that video yet, check it out next. The former prince has been arrested, presumably in connection with his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
News out of the UK this morning. The former Prince Andrew Mountbatten, this morning been arrested on the Sandringham estate where he was living, of course, in Windsor. Police here in the UK put out a statement naming him specifically, but they are saying a man in his 60s has been arrested. As part of the investigation, they say we have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office.